Happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate everyone who watched our spin-off shows yesterday. We are back 90 minutes here, 30 minutes on WKYC, and then let's dive into it, Bull. Our only sponsor of the day is FanDuel. Just one. And we love FanDuel. The NBA is back. The NFL is getting ready for the postseason. There's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and sign up to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL.
I think we're deep enough into the season, Mike. You can't say NBA's back at this point.
We get a new read starting Monday. On Monday, we will have a new FanDuel read, but we're going to have to do one more this show with the NBA.
No editorial control on
now I got to cut a whole new commercial. Thanks a lot, Bull. You want variation from night to night?
Guys, we go back to Shedeur Sanders making his second start, his first home start against the 49ers this weekend. And I went back and I was looking at Dylan Gabriel's first two starts. His best start of that 5.5 game tenure was against Minnesota. And then that second start against Pittsburgh, where we had our live post-game show at Sweet Pork Wilson's, was less than stellar. That was the 50-plus pass attempt for 220 yards.
Right.
Gee, how much does film and a team having film on a quarterback make an impact between their first start and their second start? We'll get to the weather and that stuff in a sec, but just big picture, how much does a week of film and maybe knowing a little bit more of a young quarterback's tendencies help a defense prepare and the young quarterback know where he needs to improve from that first to second start?
A ton. It's everything, man. It's everything. Like, I think people don't understand how, you could play a team and you can do well against that team and it can show up and you can look great. But the next week, it's a completely different test. It's a completely different set of questions and answers that you got to find in real time. So, when you look at people having film on you, that's the book, right? So when they come in, they're going to look at the two games that you played and say, okay, let's see what the data is. And, we talk about analytics, but they'll have, where he throws the football, whether or not he scrambles or tries to escape to the right or left. Does he have a tendency to not throw the out route to the left-hand side? And they'll have all of that. And they'll come up with a game plan that they believe, especially with any rookie quarterback, the goal is confusion. One of the reasons why Joe Flacco and some of these other guys and coaches like veterans is because veterans have already seen pretty much everything that you can see in the game,
right?
Everything under the sun. So if they they're not going to play based on being confused. They're going to play based on whether or not they made the throw or they accurately got the ball there or they have the skill sets to do it. But with young guys, They ain't seen everything. Like, they haven't seen a cover 3 look, but we going to invert the cover 3 backside and man it up and run match coverage. They haven't seen that. So their clock is going to be slower. It's going to take them a little bit longer to recognize and what to do. And, you're going to get fooled sometimes. It's like you got fooled on the interception against the Raiders. So, that's part of the game, and that's part of, the maturation and trying to figure out, to be successful. But week to week is always different, and you're going to have some guys that got the tape on you, and you just got to figure it out in real time.
Jason?
Eventually they're going to have to let him play quarterback because that really hasn't happened yet. I mean, when the restraints that they've put on him in the game in Vegas, it was a lot of this and it was a lot of this, and he had the great scramble and the great throw to Bond, but he sort of created that on his own. This week, I don't think this week's going to be any different. It's going to be 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds and it's going to be raining. Like, this is going to be Miami all over again if the weather is what we think it is. Now, Miami, the weather didn't wind up being as bad as we thought it was going to be. But if it's high winds and rain, they're not going to put the ball in danger, and they're not going to put him in jeopardy of making mistakes. But eventually, this has to get to the point where he can go to the line and he can make the checks, and they trust him enough to get them into the right plays, into the right coverages, and all that stuff. They are not at that point yet. I just watched the game. Just watch the film from the last 6 quarters. I don't know if necessarily this is the game that'll happen, but eventually we have to get there.
Well, in fact, somebody, I don't remember who, I can't remember now if it was Sean King or, I can't remember who said this earlier in the week, but they said, basically, just let him loose. Like, give him, open up, again, maybe it doesn't happen this week because of the weather, but The Browns need to know, no matter how you feel about the situation. And I've decided, sidebar, that getting angry, obviously discussing Shedeur Sanders right now is just a ridiculous thing. It's like discussing politics, unfortunately, because there's a good percentage of people that have picked a side and they won't be moved off their side, and you can't say anything even neutral because otherwise you're an idiot. So I think often in the media we get mad at and frustrated by that situation, and I think it's pointless. And most of it's on social media, which is not real life anyway. I'm sidebarring off that to just say, like, I don't even know where the hell I'm going with this. The point is, like, these arguments are stupid. Okay, when the reality is neither one extreme nor the other in most cases, and with Shedeur Sanders.
You were saying, Sean, just cut him loose and let him play.
Just cut him loose because the Browns need to find out.
I totally agree with that.
By the end of the season,
Totally agree.
Do you move forward with Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean he has to be perfect between now and then, but they need to know, have we seen enough that we can move forward with him? Because in a perfect world, if you can move forward with him, well, then you have 4 top 40 picks next year, right? Or top whatever that third, that wherever they end up, around top 40. If you don't have to draft a quarterback, that's a huge thing. Now, it's easy to say, well, they're going to do it no matter what, and that may be so. However, if they end up winning some games and end up with 5, even 6 wins, I don't think 6 is likely, but let's say they win 5 games. Well, they're not picking. There's going to be 2 quarterbacks going before they draft.
Yeah.
So the Raiders are going to have a worse record. Most likely, they need a quarterback. The Jets are going to have a worse record. They need a quarterback. The Titans will not draft a quarterback.
The Saints possibly.
What?
The Saints possibly could
The
take
Saints maybe. Now the Titans might trade if they end up with the first pick. But then if you're the Browns, let's say you're trading up for, well, now you're using multiple first-round picks. So either way, like, the perfect scenario is that Shedeur Sanders is the answer. But it would be insane right now to say he clearly is or clearly is not. If you're sure that Shedeur Sanders right now is the answer or isn't the answer, you're fooling yourself. We don't know. He's played a game and a half. We have no idea. So we got to see more. Now, I don't know we're going to know. I don't know that we'll know for sure by the end of the year one way or the other either. But we do have 5 more games, right? Or 6?
You have 6.
6 more games, right. We have 6 more games. We can get a much better idea after 6 more games if he's able to play the rest of the season, which hopefully he will. So that's what we need to know.
I had a question real quick, and something you said. You mentioned
I went off the topic. I'm sorry.
No. It's fine. It's fine. But you said 4 top 40 picks. Am I? I know
3.
there's 3.
Did I say 4?
You said 4. I just wanted to
didn't mean to say 4.
I
Sorry.
was making sure.
3 top 40 picks. Yeah.
So, Bull, let me ask you this
Yeah.
then. If you go back and look at Gabriel's first 2 starts, and Steve, if you want to pull up 42 here, you can see the progression or the degression, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the right way to
Dalen
say
Gabriel went like this.
So, how does Shedeur avoid?
I think it's going to be hard this week.
And I know it's weird with the weather.
It's
like
hard,
the weather's
with
tough.
the weather. But listen, the Niners defense, we're used to the Niners defense being good. It's not that good.
They've had a ton of injuries.
They've had a lot of injuries. They have no pass rush whatsoever. Now, you never know, right? Like the Bengals defense looked pretty good last night. Mm-hmm. It's been the worst. Analytically, the Bengals defense going into last night had been the worst defense in the history of football, like through 11 weeks or whatever. And
it looked damn good last night.
They played pretty well last night. So you never know. But to this point in the season, if you look at EPA, I know you use EPA, I believe the Niners are 25th in EPA. That's bad.
Yeah.
So they don't get to the quarterback. I don't know. I think they might be dead last in sacks, right? So a Browns O-line that has not played well, but they pass blocked well last week. They didn't throw it that much, but they pass blocked well, and Shedeur wasn't under that much pressure. He only got hit once and sacked once. So this is an opportunity. He should have decent protection, I would think, this week. So there's an opportunity, but you got to be smart in this game, and you got to keep the passes down. But after today, like especially when the weather's decent, let him do it. Let it fly. Let's go.
I think one thing that
I rambled for a while. Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. Like I think sometimes this is the nature of what we do in a business. Like the NFL is a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
And we are a product of we have to talk about something every single day. Like, so we get in a mode where we are so heavily invested in the outside stuff. Like, oh, what does his fan base say? Or what does people say who support him or detractors? At the baseline of football is, and every high school coach will tell you, bro, don't nobody care about no press clippings. That's what we do. The only thing that the Browns need to do is evaluate what he doing, and you got to do it from game to game. Half of the evaluation is as a quarterback. Does a quarterback know what type of time he's on? And what I mean by that is, what do I need to do right now in this moment to win the game? And you may have a sample size of 6 games. What I want to see from Shedeur Sanders or any potential quarterback that's going to be a franchise quarterback is understanding, okay, this game, I only need to make a couple plays against the Raiders. This game, you know what? They stack in the box. I might need to hit a couple of throws intermediate. The next game could be, you know what? I'm not going to be able to extend this time. So I'm going to get back to my 5th step, and I'm going to spray the ball around. Here. You know what? I may need to extend some plays and scramble and get in the – like, you have to figure that out, and that's part of the evaluation. So when I'm looking at it from this perspective, the thing that you are excited about or you want to see actually happens from what you did in the Raiders game, and how do you now take what you did with that and then add to it, and then continue to progress. Or like I was encouraged by the pocket presence from game 1 in this first half to the pocket presence in game 2. Game 2, I was more impressed with, okay, you taking a deep shot. Now game 3, let's see if you are in bad weather and inclement weather, because that's part of it.
Right.
Part of being a quarterback is understanding, can I play in bad weather? Mm-hmm. There's some great bad weather quarterbacks, and they just look good. Like back in the day, and I'm not saying he's Brett Favre, but Brett Favre, it didn't matter if it was snowing. Actually, you would take Brett Favre in the snow.
Yeah.
That's a skill set too. I want to put him in as difficult position as I can for each week.
Right.
And each week, the more and more you see, that will give you the faith, not the talk. The faith comes with seeing it and doing it, and then you say, oh, I like what he did against the 49ers.
Yeah.
Now what's up with the Titans? That's how you'll feel comfortable. And at the end of the year, I think if he does have a long enough runway, I think you do know if he's good enough to invest in or not.
A little sidebar here for a minute. I obviously over the week, I don't know who. Jeff Shedeur asked. I don't know when it was. I guess it was Tuesday or what? No, it could have been Tuesday, Wednesday. Right. Jeff Shedeur asked Shedeur Sanders about, the Stefanski thing, because obviously fans bring up all the time. Kevin Stefanski hates Shedeur Sanders, which I know. I know you find it silly. I find it silly, but whatever. Jeff asked him the question. A lot of people were killing Jeff for asking that question as if it wasn't a legitimate question.
I thought it was a fair question.
I thought it was a fair question too. What do you guys think?
Well, I think from his standpoint, I would look at it and be like, what do you like? There's this thing where if Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady got Tom Brady fans. Nobody would ask Tom Brady, like, hey, your fans don't like Bill Belichick.
But nobody was saying that, though.
Like, the question he asked was, what do you say about the people who say that he doesn't like you, or Kevin Stefanski doesn't like you? And he's like,
but that it's not just fans. Gee, there are media members saying that too.
So, but my question, like he answered, what does that have to do with him? He don't control that.
So you thought it was an unfair question?
Look, if I'm talking to Shedeur Sanders and after the game, I want to talk about the 49ers, or during the week, I want to talk about the 49ers. Like that question to me, what does that serve?
Well,
it's a talking point that a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's absurd and ridiculous and stupid. And
you think it was not an appropriate question?
No, I think the idea is absurd, ridiculous.
I agree, but do you think the question was appropriate?
I would not have necessarily asked it that way, but that doesn't mean
how would you have asked it?
What's your relationship like with Kevin?
There it is. Now, if you want to ask that question, cool.
Yeah.
What have you felt about the way
your relationship
you've been handled since you got here? Something along those lines.
Do you think?
But there's also I've also asked. That was a direct question, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
like
it's
in that instance, I would not have asked it that way, but that
Yeah.
doesn't. I'm not the judge and jury of report questions. You can ask him however you
He's
want.
a reporter. He has it's freedom of the press. He can ask what he wants.
I actually thought it was a completely legitimate question. I had no problem with him asking that question.
The fact that we now are asking that is considered
Yeah.
a fair question, and that people are asking Kevin about game balls like this is Little League.
Right.
Like this is absurd.
Well,
where this has gotten.
Here's the thing. There are some media members, as you know, who are causing this to blow up bigger than it is. Right? I mean, if it was just fans doing this stuff, I don't think any of these questions get asked because I don't think it blows up as much as it did.
There's probably truth to that. Regardless of how it got here.
It's absurd. I
here.
get it.
This is
the
so
fact that we're
stupid.
asking a coach about a game ball
It's idiotic.
is insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Now, none of this is Shedeur Sanders' fault. However, I will say when he answered he was obviously annoyed initially by the question. Maybe annoyed's not. He never seems annoyed, really.
Yeah, he was
he's kind of happy-go-lucky, or at least he seems that
He's
way.
like, oh, you want to start trouble?
And I don't think Jeff Shedeur is not like Jeff Shedeur's not gotcha guy.
Jeff has been doing this so long, and
Yeah.
he just doesn't care.
He just doesn't. He
And
just was curious.
He asks
right.
very.
He wasn't
direct
trying
questions.
to get Shedeur.
No.
he was not.
Here's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah.
If we all know what the climate is, we all know what Shedeur Sanders fan base is. We all know that there's a polarization between the people who don't really rock with him and the people who do.
Yeah.
Then when you ask him a question about people who support him and say, "What do you think about that?" He's like, "Bro, I don't control other people. I don't have some sort of mind control where
Right.
I'm sicking thousands of people after Kevin Stefanski." Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not what it is. How is
Right,
that my
but
thing?
he could have ended the whole conversation with his answer, and he didn't. Now he did at the end of the answer end up saying, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was complimentary of Kevin. He was like, "Yeah, coach is doing the right thing." I can't remember exactly what he said at the end, and we can't play the clip, unfortunately. But he could have, and like he probably wasn't expecting the question. I'm not ripping him for it. I'm saying he could have ended the whole conversation,
But
by
here's-
saying, "This is silly. Of course, Kevin Stefanski is on my side. It's a silly conversation we shouldn't be having." If he would have said that, then it all goes away.
Well, here's the thing. That's not his responsibility. One,
You're right.
That's not.
Yeah.
Two, the Cleveland Browns could have ended a lot of things in the beginning. When they said, "Hey," when they were saying Shedeur isn't working hard, they could have came out and said, "You know what? We got a period called Hungry Dogs, and you know what? Shedeur
Yeah.
Sanders has been involved with that. We've been working. Nobody
They've
even
talked about that all year that he was doing the hungry dog stuff.
nobody said, because the thought process was, the narrative was, Shedeur not working. He not working. What is he doing? Is
But
he not?
again,
Is he
the
behind?
Browns didn't say that.
But again,
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders didn't tell his people to say that.
And I agree.
So-
and I agree that Kevin Stefanski, in addition, Shedeur Sanders could have ended the conversation with this, yes, but Kevin Stefanski has made it so much worse on himself by
not
the
answering
way
anything.
by not answering anything. He could. There's so many things he could have said about Shedeur Sanders along the way, and he didn't. Not because he doesn't like Shedeur Sanders, just because that's how he is. And he doesn't handle it well.
So
That's why it was a joke that Andrew Berry's not going to talk over the bye because
Right.
Kevin's the spokesman. Kevin's a terrible spokesman
Terrible.
because Kevin
Yeah.
doesn't say anything
So this
ever.
This was handled. It has been handled poorly by the Browns. You're right.
And if you
But in the end, Shedeur could have ended it.
But here's-
I wish he would have, but he didn't.
But
it's
here-
all right.
but-
I'm not killing him for it. but
again,
Yeah.
again,
it's not his responsibility.
The burden
You're right.
of him. You know what I want him to do? And
Yeah.
this is the thing. I want you to focus and lock in on getting what you need to do against the 49ers, not talking about what people think about Kevin Stefanski. Because the reality is, both Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders and Andrew Berry better be concerned about winning football games and looking good. All the rest of that stuff,
Right.
I wish we could get to a point where all of the fifth round, why you fell, who like who, that stuff is out of here. It's about
But it's not. It's still getting brought up constantly.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Why bring, like, if I'm a writer, I want to
Yeah.
know about today. I don't care what people think about Kevin Stefanski. I want to know how you going to prepare and get this win.
Well, everybody's trying to write their own stories. It's It's a huge storyline, G. You can't pretend it's not a big storyline.
It is.
I mean, did you see what Josina Anderson has been putting on social media?
Listen,
I mean, you know.
I always tell people.
Yeah.
I don't look. We can get caught up in what people want to say.
Yeah.
But what's going to keep you on the football field is what keep you on the football field.
But had Shedeur said, "This is silly. This is absolutely ridiculous. Kevin and I have a great relationship." Even if it's not true, if he had said it, then none of those questions happen anymore. Then it goes away forever.
You know what he say? You know what? I don't control those.
And you're right. He doesn't owe that to anybody.
I don't control.
But he could have ended.
I don't control. The burden is not on the rookie quarterback to come out here and stand in front of all this. His burden is, like everybody say, they don't got a problem telling him to be quiet when he's saying stuff.
Not me. I never still told him to be quiet.
We said when he was clapping back at Rex Ryan, we said, "Hey, stop all that. You doing the miming stuff." I love his energy.
I didn't like the miming.
Because guess what?
Yeah.
Now you know what? You starting the pot. On to the next question. Give me a next question.
Yeah.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.